feel like I get more and more bass out of these things every time I listen to that.
It sounds good.
I know, I love it. It's fucking retarded. I'm like a kid. Oh, so how's your week been since the last time I talked to you?
It's been good. I went to Jason Aldean on Thursday and
I didn't fucking know about that.
yeah.
Damn it. How was that?
It was good. It was really good.
No shootings this time?
Nope.
Awesome.
Nope.
Makes it a good night.
Oh yeah. And then went to the funeral on Saturday up in Payson, and then came back down and went to and saw Pink yesterday. So.
Fuck yeah, it's been a good week.
Yeah, it has been a good week.
Slow progress and everything else, and good concerts.
Yep.
That's good. Well, I'm glad to hear it.
It was good.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I completely forgot about today. I'm glad you said something. Normally, when I schedule these things, I write them down, and this was like one time I just didn't.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of... I mean, we made it last week on Tuesday after the last one.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm glad you said something because it's been a rough week for me. So my brain's been fucking everywhere.
Oh, boy.
It's all right. It happens.
That's
Nature
true.
of the business.
Yep.
I was going to kind of... I'm going to dabble in a little bit of something about me that I've kind of picked up. I feel like you might be able to relate to. Just after, like I said, I haven't known you for very long. Talking to you a little bit last week and talking to you a little bit at the festival. Just little times here and there. Is it broken?
No, it's not broken.
Okay.
I was just moving it, getting comfortable.
It looked like it took off on you. I was like, oh, shit.
It wiggled.
Detour. So one of the things, like, I'm obviously quite a bit older than you.
Yeah.
But growing up, I didn't really have like a bad upbringing per se, but it definitely wasn't like spectacular in a weird way. It was very, I don't want to use the word neutral because it wasn't like uneventful, but it sure as fuck wasn't like some of the shit you went through.
Yeah.
So I kind of grew up with a whole lot of question marks and a whole lot of not understanding a lot of different things. And one of the things that kind of drove me to do this was I started understanding the impact of all of that for myself and growing with it. Growing up with all the questions and not understanding a lot of stuff is almost like, I don't want to say like long-term torture because you don't really understand it until a certain point. So it's not like it's fucking with you until then. But it's definitely like a form of like undereducated for life. And some of the shit that you got to see at a young age, you know, you're probably not going to understand half of that impact for another 10 years. And that's not your fault. But one of the things that I kind of took away from the way that you speak and the way that you communicate is it's very direct. And that's a good thing. It's very, you just communicate, purely communicate. And when I say that, what I mean is like, we have people that we both know mutually that can't communicate without sarcasm, for example. You know what I mean? And one of the biggest problems I've always had, and I don't know why, is I try pretty commonly to communicate just normally, like have a normal conversation without sarcasm, or I just want to have like a normal one-on-one conversation. And it's when it doesn't work that way, it still leaves me in this area like why couldn't you? So where are we at? Did we meet in the middle or not? And I feel like I get that vibe from you. That you'd much rather have a meaningful... When I say meaningful, I mean you'll get something out of a conversation. You'd much rather have a conversation than you would banter back and forth and shit talk and...
Oh, yeah. I'd rather have something that means something to me and something that I'm actually going to remember. Yeah. Because, like, if it's just, like, sitting there and shit talking, it's just, like, half of that stuff goes in one ear and out the other most of the time. So. Right.
And I get that vibe a lot from you. And I'm not really sure kind of what that represents as far as for what that represents in us. But I definitely feel like you are actually somebody that would have a normalized conversation.
Yeah.
And it's unique for me because it's something that I look for in people. Dealing with so many people the way I do throughout the day, I find it interesting to see how many people I can connect with.
Yeah.
And it's strange, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. I appreciate that we're going to use the word quality because I think it's a quality. I'm, however, hesitant to say that it's like it's a good thing because of how it came up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I definitely don't know how to connect those dots because I'm not qualified for all that. But I'm guessing the common ground that we have is unstructured upbringing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No.
And I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how to connect that. But here we are.
All right.
Yeah. And you showed interest in coming back today, and like I said, I'm glad you did because I forgot. So that was cool because sometimes people, not all that interested in coming back. Some people are more eager than others. So
yeah.
And you just got through telling me you got more story to tell.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not done yet.
There's a lot. I
feel like in saying that you have something that stands out to you.
More my childhood, more than anything, it definitely sticks out to me.
Yeah. I want to hear about what you're referring to because you definitely have like bullet points in your head.
Yeah, always do.
It's almost like stuff that your subconscious is saying, like, hey, you need to talk about this shit. You talk about that shit. And I can tell, like, there's stuff that you want to talk about. I just don't know what it is.
Well, yeah, of course there's this stuff that I want to talk about. Sorry, stuttering. It's something that's hard to talk about, and it's something that has never been spoken of. And I feel like a lot of ways people don't understand why I am, or why I act the way I do, or why I have such a big heart for certain things, or why I let people walk all over me and things like that. And genuinely, I don't understand either. But at the end of the day, like, I know a lot of reasons why I do what I do and why I act the way that I act and why I am the way that I am. That makes sense. Because it's just my childhood stuff that brought me up to it. So
yeah, and again, that's maybe it's just the fact that you get forced to grow up faster than you wanted to, or well, not wanted to because you don't know shit.
Yeah.
Forced to grow up faster than you need to, and maybe that's when you start really looking around trying to find the answers. So.
Yeah.
What age are we referring to when you say your childhood?
Probably from like the exact time I was born to 6. So, and I know that's a hard age. People are like, oh, you don't remember, like, you can't remember anything. You don't start remembering until you're 6. Trauma makes you remember things.
Yeah, trauma definitely sticks with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people are able to push that type of stuff away, but others, like, it sticks with them for the rest of their life.
See, and when you say that, I have to be honest with you. I kind of disagree. I think there's a big difference between using that shit, actively and utilizing what you learn from it. And I don't believe that people can just fully let go. I just don't. I believe that people bury it.
Probably.
Which I also believe is not healthy.
I've done that for a long time.
Oh, God. I used to bottle shit up like it was my job.
Until you just snap one day.
I was going to say, at one point, it sounds fucking cliche, but soon enough, that bottle is just going to overflow. And that's how it works, And it did.
And then you snap on somebody you don't want to,
yeah. And it all goes south quicker than you can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're trying to make the right move, I believe, is talking about it and, like I said, utilizing that knowledge the best way you can.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, my. Makes me nervous to talk about it.
It's all right.
So, we kind of, like, talked about it last week, my biological mom.
Mm-hmm.
How she was, like, a meth head and everything like that. And
yep, we dabbled in that.
The reason why I didn't go with my dad and my grandmother when I was born was because my dad had heart surgery and everything. We talked about that. I don't think it was right for them to put me with my biological mom. I think I should have honestly gone with my dad and my grandmother, just due to the fact that all the stuff that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see one of my very first childhood memories of that, of all of it. I'm trying to, there's so many. I don't know, I was probably like 3 years old, and I remember, like, I didn't live in a household that was clean. My mom was a hoarder. So we had stuff and clothes piled everywhere, a bunch of different stuff, everything, like rooms filled with stuff, and
sorry.
Yeah.
I used to be a mover, so when you talk about hoarding houses,
mm-hmm.
that shit, like, the PTSD is real.
Yeah.
Woo. That's a shitty situation.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I go into certain, like, I've been in a couple people's houses before, and it's just like, it's just brings back memories, and then I'm just like, okay, like, and I get uncomfortable. And I try to be fine, but like, I'm like, it's not that I don't mind it, because that's how they're living, but it's just at the same time I'm just like, I don't want to be around that anymore myself.
Yeah, I don't. You're nicer than I am, because I'll criticize the shit out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta draw. There's a very, very thick line there, and people gotta draw it, because that's unhealthy.
That is true. She was always a hoarder, like, for so long, and it just, nothing ever changed. But I remember I had 4 dogs growing up. They were, okay, so Thor, Xena, Jellybean, and Dixie. So I had 4 dogs, right? I still remember their names. Good for me. One of them ended up getting pregnant. And this is kind of gross to say, so sorry to who's listening and to you too.
That's all right.
The dog ended up giving birth everywhere, all over the hall. That's like one of my first, like, memories that I had. It was like my dog giving birth in the middle and right in front of me, and just, my mom didn't bother to clean up the blood, didn't help those puppies out, didn't clean up the poop after they got bigger, nothing. So things just, like, kept growing inside that house.
Yep.
The talk about filth and disgust, like, the cockroaches were ginormous, like, not some little itty bitty things. They were huge. And mice and everything else, like, I remember, like, mice sometimes literally scurrying across my face.
Oh,
so
no.
I do not like mice at all.
Oh no.
They freak me out. Don't like them. Don't want them. Just no. I will. Yeah, it grosses me out. Sorry.
No. I'm just like, in my head. Luckily I don't remember the smell clearly, but when I do smell it, and when I smell like trash, like overly piled trash, you know, it's that same smell. It's
gross.
It's a mind fuck. It's way past just having some trash in your house and turns into a mental fuck. And I could never imagine living in that shit.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It definitely was. I was known as a wild child growing up. Every now and then when I talk to my biological mom, she still says that. Like, she goes, "You were a wild child, like, you just, like, had so much energy, and you were all over the place, and, like, good." And I was like, yeah, but I really wasn't good. Like,
you're like, it wasn't fucking my choice.
Used to run the streets barefoot down in Phoenix, like, in the heat like this. No clothes, nothing. Hair wasn't, like, washed. Like, everything about me was just one of those kids that looked like that was just picked up, dropped on the side of the road, and left there.
Yeah.
So it was definitely hard. I remember, I think the hardest thing about it is, like, I have a slight eating disorder now, just due to the fact that, like, when I was younger, my biological mom literally did not feed me. I ate dog food. That is how I got my nutrition and protein and everything else. It's not even like there's protein in it, but it's not good for a human.
Yeah, that's not normal.
No, it's not normal. And
Jesus.
Yeah, I definitely, there was that. And so now to this day, I have a slight eating disorder. Like I used to like chow down on my food. I'm actually not a picky eater at all. I'll eat anything and everything. And it's a good thing.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's a good thing.
But that's why I eat everything and anything, because I've kind of learned to be grateful about food when I have it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's some times where I'll just eat so much. Like I'll binge eat and I'll eat and I'll eat. Luckily, I don't know where it goes. I'm super tiny, but like I'll just eat so much because it's just like, I feel like I don't know. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's going to be taken away from me again. Like I get that fear, irrational fear of that food's going to be taken away from me again.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't eat at all. I'll go like once a meal a day or maybe none, or like I'll just snack all day long. Like not all day, but like I'll just have a snack here and there. And it's not good to do something like that. Either binge eating or not really eating at all.
God, I feel you on so many of these fucking levels. It's actually kind of scary. I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. I was just one of my biggest issues with the way I can't say this without sounding like a fucking asshole, and I'm sorry if this gets back to any of my family. I don't mean it the way I'm saying it, but I didn't realize like how crappy things were as a kid until now. And, like, I thought it was all normal growing up. You don't know that you don't know how trashy you look. Yeah. And I do the same thing. I get mad when people throw food away.
Yeah, I do too.
To this day. Mm-hmm. And that people throw food in the trash, and I'm like, you motherfucker, I swear to God. But
leftovers are good.
There's some days, like, I'm not going to lie, just living on my own, money's tight sometimes. There is some days that if I just don't have enough meal preps made for like, dinner and lunch and all that, then I'll just be like, well, I'll just eat tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's like not a problem anymore. I'm adapted at this point. But it fucking sucks. That's not normal.
No, it's not.
And feeling the way that you feel and the way that you've had to be surviving, and it's just like fucking hearing it from somebody else breaks my heart even more. Because that shit's not how things are supposed to be. And it's not, I'm not sitting here solely blaming the parents because it's not fair.
Yeah.
They had their own struggles too, just like we do now.
I blame my parent.
That's fair. Just
100%.
and maybe you'll get to know me a little bit better in saying all this, because this is part of the reason why I'm trying so fucking hard to change the dynamic of my life, my future, for my kid, for everything like that, because I never want to go back to that shit. Yeah. I don't want to, and this is why I did this shit, because I don't want to fucking look like it. I don't want to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of being fucking bitch about this so much. I'm tired of being blue collar. I want a different lifestyle. Yeah. Because of that shit. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I'm ranting.
No, you're good. You're good.
Just like hearing somebody else that had to go through that shit the same way, everything that you're saying, I did. And I'm like, fuck. Other people did this? This sucks. Mm-hmm. I used just like you. I literally used to run the streets barefoot in the summer, and it never fucking hurt.
Nope. Rocks, nothing.
Yeah. People are always like, how you barefoot? I don't fucking know.
And now it hurts.
Now it sucks.
Yeah.
But fuck, dude. Like, I feel for anybody that's had to deal with that shit. And, I can expand on it all day. And I'm sure you're going to help me with that right now. Yeah. But fucking Christ. I got my heartstring.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
There's, that's was an issue then. It's an issue now. Like, I'm no longer malnourished, of course, but like there's still times where I struggle to eat.
You're right.
Another thing is I have a problem with, no offense to any men out there, I'm not a big person on men, and I don't have anything against them. I'm scared. Yeah. As a woman, I am scared. Yeah. Because of the fact that when I was growing up, my mom always constantly had men in the house. And they were always homeless.
Fuck.
And if you want, so you're going to go, really personal, super, super personal. Shirley Temple can never watch that movie due to the fact that I was sexually abused watching that movie. growing up as a kid. And my mom, I told her, she didn't believe me.
Of course she didn't.
It was a huge thing. My mom goes, no, you're being dramatic and stuff like that. And the problem that sticks with me is I still remember his name to this day.
Yeah, you're going to remember everything about it.
Yep.
That's traumatic.
Yeah.
You got fucked up, you know?
And so it's like, and then it wasn't just him. It was like other men. Like she literally had 5 people living there at once. Like it was so bad.
So on top of like the hoarding, we can just contribute the lifestyle probably to the drugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're dabbling in obviously less of a fucking like healthy household. That's not the word I'm looking for, but definitely more of a trap house.
Yeah. It definitely was a trap house.
Fuck.
For sure. We had tents in the backyard. We had there was just, and then there was clothes in the tents. There was like so much, like there's people living in the shed. There was
children living there.
I was the only child living there.
Yeah, well, it's
which is
bad enough.
Yeah. The only child living out of all these grown-ups.
Fucking strung out grown-ups.
Oh yeah, big time strung out. My mom actually used to sell, so it was definitely a trap house.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I think my biggest memory down there was I actually talked to my cousin every single day. I'm not gonna say his name in case he listens to this because right. I told him that he might want to listen to this just because I'm actually talking about this, and he's related to my biological mom. He's older though, he's probably around your age, maybe a little bit older than you are, and his wife. I talk to him every single day about all of this, and he tells me stories about what I used to do and things like that. And I remember one day he wasn't there, but he ended up trying to get my dad involved. He tried to get my dad involved. His wife gave me a picture of my dad, and my biological mom took it and tore it up in front of me and threw it away.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like I never really knew my father. I don't have any memories. I knew he was there when I was born and when I was really little. But after that, I don't recall him at all until I turned 6 years old.
Fuck.
But they ended up telling my dad what was going on there. And my dad was like, well, I can't do anything about it right now. They're not letting me. He goes, there's CPS courts on CPS courts, nothing. CPS wasn't doing anything. And so my dad went down there, and my cousin ended up telling my dad about a certain guy that was there. My dad came down there, probably should not have done what he did, but he pistol whipped somebody and told them to leave and never come back. And that man literally grabbed his stuff and left. It was
probably a good thing you listened.
Yeah, probably. Because my dad at that point, he was with my stepmom, and, my sister was coming into the picture and things like that. My dad really struggled to get me, and so did my grandmother for a long time. The biggest memory I have is when I was over at the neighbor's house. Sweetest people ever. They had an older daughter who was like an older sister to me, and a son that was the same age. And I'd go over there all the time and play with the older daughter, play Barbies and stuff with her. I was over there one day, and I was just hanging out, and I went to go home. I walk outside, and this girl's, the parents are standing outside looking over at my house, and they told the older daughter, go bring her inside, go play Barbies, go do something. And I was like, why? And I look over, my mom's in handcuffs, and so are 4 other dudes. God. At this point. And I was like, what's going on? Little did I know that there was a stolen vehicle outside on the property of our house that has been sitting there for a long time. And just so happened and got caught.
Yep.
We ended up going back inside. I went, and this guy, though, that stole the vehicle was missing. Didn't know where he was. I went to grab a box of... So, really quickly, I hate the dark, number one, to this day. I don't like under beds, so my bed either has to be higher enough so I have to see underneath the bed, or it has to be all the way almost to the ground so nobody can fit underneath there. Mm-hmm. And I don't like closets. Huge thing. Still trying to get over it, but we're working on it.
Fair enough.
I went to grab underneath the bed. Somebody grabbed me. And it was the guy that stole the car. And he's been living at my mom's house for a long time, so I knew who it is.
Under your fucking bed?
Under that girl's bed.
Oh, dear
So he was
Lord.
in the neighbor's house. Yep.
Perfect.
He ended up putting his hand over my mouth, grabbing me, and looked at the older girl and was like, don't say anything. And she goes, I won't. Just, like, let her go. Just let her go. And I was like, he's like, okay. And, he let me go. He takes off. And at this point, the girl grabs me. We're walking out. I'm trying to think of how old she must have been. She must have been, like, 15 at that time, 16. And I was little. And we're walking outside, and she went to go tell her mom that the guy was in the house. And her mom was like, where's the car keys? Where's the car keys? Couldn't find them. And ended up the guy stole their car, taking off. And there was helicopters, there was cops, and there's so much commotion going on. And I ended up having to stay there. They ended up getting their car back. He ended up crashing. It got caught. But that's, like, something that, like, has stuck to me. But the thing that stuck to me the most is, like, I get that I was little, but, like, it was on the news and everything, too, when I was little.
Is this out here?
Yeah.
What part of town?
Dunlap area, yeah.
Dunlap in what, like 19th?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. That's such a shitty little fucking area.
Yeah. I grew up there for a while. And I told the cops, like, the cops were talking to me. I told the cops what happened. And I actually ended up sitting there telling a cop that what was going on at my mom's house. And that I was, like, being sexually assaulted. Like, I was, like, not being taken care of. Like, you can tell. And the cop was like, well, let's go talk to your mother. And my mom was like, oh, she's fine. Nothing's going on here. Yada, yada, yada. Like, that was just an incident in front of the house. Like, my mom was, like, trying to play it cool. Mind you, my mom has she has a degree for criminal justice and stuff like that. So, my mom got away with a lot of stuff.
I forgot about that. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It definitely is. And the part that I was like, okay, whatever, like, and now I just think about it as, like I said, whatever, and it just kind of frustrates me that nothing was, like, taken in order when it needed to be.
No, go ahead. It's just so I've never firsthand got to witness any of that stuff, which is amazing. I've been around it, but I've never been, like, in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't, like, as a confused little boy, that's all I was just constantly just confused about a lot of shit. Pretty naive. Like, I'm going to use that word because half the time I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine how much more difficult and how much more shoved into it you were only because of the fact that you were a small female.
Yeah.
And being around adults that are high or fucked up, or all of that leads to irrationality and poor decision making. It's a whole nother dimension.
Yeah, it really is. I think about it a lot, and I'm just like,
I'm sure you do. You are definitely allowed to have the irrational feelings that you do about certain people or males or whatever the case may be. You know?
Yeah, it's something that I've had to learn to live with in a way, I guess. I kind of just like I said, I've never told anybody most of this stuff to be able to understand me. So it's like, okay, like, I'm not the kid to, like, sit there and want to get in trouble. Like, not that I'm a kid anymore, but, like, still to you, I'm a kid. Like, to a lot of other people, I'm a kid.
Yeah, you're still a baby.
I'm still a baby. I don't want to sit there and I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to jeopardize my life. I don't want to put anything, like, I watch what I do.
Right.
Yeah. I'll go drink every now and then, you know what I mean? But I still watch what I do. And the type of people that I surround myself with, I'm always constantly.
But it's not wrong for you to be able to. I can tell in doing this, you want to move forward.
Yes.
And there's fucking nothing wrong with that. That's the healthy way to do it.
I definitely want to, like, grow from it, and by talking about it and being like, oh, I actually talked about it this time. Like, it's something that I've been sitting on for the past, since I was 6 years old, and 20. Like, that's a long time.
I was gonna say, think about that. That's almost 15 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time to hold in trauma, especially trauma that you probably, without being, fully fucking developed, you don't understand half of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're probably never gonna understand exactly why, but growing from it's gonna be, and this is the right path to doing so, and being able to instead of letting it guide your life, walking side by side and letting it help you grow is the way to do it. So it's good for you. Not only that, but the amount of people that are going to be able to relate to your story.
Yeah, that's
you're gonna help them too.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah,
I definitely want to help others with certain things, and because people are like, when I say like, oh, I relate, like they're like, do you though? And like, no, I actually do. Like, I do relate to that.
Yeah.
I just don't talk about it. Like, there's just,
I don't know, like even the way that you talk about the houses, the living situations, the people, and you bring up shit even from my childhood that I would never remember otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Just like seeing some of the kids that I used to hang out with and some of the houses that I used to go into, and I'm just like, what it would have been like if I was a female instead of a male. Can't even say that I'd be here right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like because I wasn't, and you were, and that sucks because you're just surrounded by people that are just everybody's fucked up.
Exactly.
It's not reality, and I can't say it enough, but that fucking breaks my heart. That's fucked up.
It was really fucked up. But yeah, I'm here.
You're here and you're coming out stronger.
Yeah.
So that's the important part.
There's actually after the police incident, the police talked to my mom and this and that. My mom was so mad at me. So I had tons and tons and tons of Barbies. Tons of Barbies. My mom used to take them, grab a nail, and hammer the nail through the Barbie's head and hang it on a wall. I like think about it now. At that time I was like, whatever, I have another Barbie to play with. But I'm like, that was fucked up. Like, there's something mentally not there to be able to do that to somebody's kid. And watching the nail go through the head out of anything. Yeah. Like, why don't you throw it away like a normal parent would? Like, you get discipline, you don't get that anymore. Take it away or throw it away, like. But I sat there and watched that, and I remember sitting there getting mad. And I had a lot of like fire in me growing up. Like, even my cousin will say that. Like, I was just like a didn't care type of kid, like this and that, like do what I want. I had no rules, nothing. Like, I could literally do whatever I want. So I grabbed a wrench, and my mom was sitting in her bed, and I chucked that wrench at her. What? I remember throwing that wrench at her, and then I was running. Went running because
did you hit her?
No. Oh. I was very close to hitting her right in the head. And I went running because she got up and she went after me. I remember closing the bathroom door, locking myself in there, and we had a paddle, like one of those like ping pong paddles, but mine had like holes drilled into it. And yeah. And because it was like one of the old wooden ones, and she just like there was holes drilled into it. Yeah. And I remember her saying, open this door right now, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, no, like, I'm crying. Like, I'm hiding in the bathtub, like, trying not to be seen.
Okay, fuck you.
Yeah. And the bathroom door busts open. And I see the paddle in her hand, and I was like, I knew I messed up. Right. Like, I knew that wasn't right at that time. Like, I was like, I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble. Like,
this is going to suck.
Yeah. And, yeah, I got hit with it, and called it good and everything, but I used to like have welts on my butt to where I couldn't sit and things like that. You hear about like that type of stuff in movies, like where the kids like get spanked so hard they can't sit or anything, like I was one of those kids. So I was like, dang, like,
fuck.
Yeah, it was definitely definitely, and that was a hard one. I also used to get picked on. I started school, and I used to get picked on because I was the only kid that I was bullied for a long time. I was bullied probably up until like my freshman year of high school.
For what?
The way I looked. The way like I was tiny. The way I looked. I didn't like.
Just anything that people can grip onto.
Yep. And like especially living in the valley, like when I was like little like that, like I got severely picked on. Bad.
People are just assholes.
So I stopped going to school, and I should have been going to school at that age. And I stopped. I would sit outside with my guinea pig and watch all these kids walk by after school every single day.
A goddamn guinea pig.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to it, but
that's all right.
I had it.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah, probably.
Jesus.
Yeah, I stopped going to school. I was like, I don't want to. I used to throw temper tantrums, like, and I was like, no, that's not happening. Yeah. There's a lot more. I just like. There's a lot. I hit the main things.
Yeah.
I remember the day I got taken away. I was actually at school. One of the days I actually went.
You got taken away?
Yeah.
What, by CPS or something? Oh my God! You had to go through that too?
Fuck. Oh yeah. I remember when CPS came and got me, and well, CPS didn't come and got me. The reason why CPS came was because there was another complaint. There was a gun shootout actually across the street, and the next day CPS ended up being called and things like that. And there's needles on the ground that were used needles that were full. There was guns that were not on safety mode that were just left laying around, you know, like.
Sweet.
There was like, and then all of the hoarding stuff there, you know. And the food that we did have had mold on it and things like that, like. So it was like CPS finally like put their foot down. But I remember sitting at school and the nurse comes in and asks me to go to her office, and I was like, okay. At this point, the bell's ringing and we're supposed to go home. Mm-hmm. She goes, you're going to stay here with me, this and that. Hours went by. And I had a cousin come and get me with her husband and stuff like that. And I was like, where am I going? And they're like, this is your family. This is your cousin. Like, you're going to be going home with them, yada, yada, yada. I was like, okay. Like, had no idea that I was getting taken away from my mom. My cousin sat there and talked shit upon my mom and continued talking shit. I was like, I'm a 6-year-old kid not knowing what is happening, why I'm not allowed to see my mom, because they refused. And like I said, I had no discipline, nothing like that. I was able to get, so I started throwing temper tantrums to the point where I was throwing myself on the ground. Like, this is kind of embarrassing for me now. Like, I would smash my head against the wall. Like, I would scream, I would fight, I would hit, like, I would like try to brawl it out with them, like nothing. I was just this little thing, not knowing what is happening, and getting told I can't see my mom.
Yep.
And they wouldn't tell me why. And then they would say, oh, you can see your mom if you do this. You can see your mom if you do that. Never happened. So it was like I was getting made all these promises that weren't even happening.
Right.
And I remember becoming very, very sick. And I didn't even have a bed there at that point. At that point, I had all the bed privileges taken away from me. I wasn't allowed to sleep in the bed. So I was sleeping on the floor, and I was very, like, ill. And they didn't want their kids around me, like, because they had, like, 4 kids. Kids were not even allowed around me.
Good Lord.
And I remember I almost died because I was like laying on my back and I started like choking on my own throw up, and nobody was like doing anything. And then finally one of the older daughters came over and like flipped me on my side, and then the mom and the dad like came over and like helped me.
Jesus.
They decided they didn't want me basically and was like, no, she's too much to handle. So they put me with my other cousins. And I was still severely sick, you know, because I was actually starting to eat some and things like that, like getting food. Like, people don't understand, like, when you don't eat and then you go to eating, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, it makes you sick because your body is used to not getting all that nutrition and things like that. And then you go.
Yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster, that one.
Yeah. So I was just constantly sick. And then they found out in my other cousin's house that I had lice. So again, was not allowed around the kids, not allowed in a bed. Like, it was a mess.
You're like, this is fun.
Yeah. And I remember them telling me, do you want to meet your dad? Do you want to meet your dad? And I was like, yeah, like, I want to meet my dad. My cousins were told that my dad was dead. Was not the case. They finally found his number and everything, you know. And I remember my dad coming and get me at one of the CPS offices with my grandmother. And I went up there. I was like, okay, like, you know. And I remember my grandma and my dad on the way up there, these two just fighting about who I'm going to be staying with. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, my dad has custody of me now, and you're sitting there fighting with him. Like, and I just think about it now. I'm just like, great. Why was that a fight? Like, I should have just been with my dad.
Right.
But no, my grandmother was she was manipulative, I should say. She was very manipulative with my father. And I ended up living with her until I was about 13. Not 13, sorry, 10. 13 is when my dad passed away. But I lived with her, and I would go over to my dad's only on weekends and things like that, or I'd go to school with my grandmother and then daycare, and then I'd come home, eat dinner, and then repeat it all the next day until weekends hit. I'd go over to my dad's. But for a while there, my grandmother was working nights at a casino, and I ended up having to stay the night at my dad's house. But this lady would literally come in the middle of the night after she got off of work, because she was like on night shift, but only until the middle of the night, to come get me every single night, just to come get me and put me in the car and be at her house. So it was like, she was trying to raise me. There was problems between my mom, my stepmom, and my grandmother. Like, was like, this is ridiculous. You should not be doing this. Like, you're just making things worse. And they didn't like each other. There was fights brought out in between all of it. My dad ended up having to not to decide where he was going to live, but he ended up getting sick again, stayed at my grandmother's, my stepmom. And it was like, my stepmom's like, you have another kid too. Like, you can't just like be like that. Like, it was, I just remember fights on fights on fights on fights.
Which is also super healthy to grow up around.
Yeah, it really is.
Fuck.
But, it was definitely like, it was just one thing after another at this point. And I don't think that things calmed down in between then. Like, when I moved in with my dad, things finally calmed down, and then he passed, so things went up again. It's just everything, like, and I struggle with this a lot, and like, I like do cry about it. Like, I just feel like everything since like I've been born has just been like a freaking roller coaster that's just up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down.
Listening to you talk and just listening to the stories, I was kind of thinking to myself, I don't think up until, I mean, even still, I don't think you've really had the opportunity to settle in a little bit somewhere.
No.
I mean, maybe here or there, but when it comes down to it, that shit really doesn't count.
I've been at the same place now for a year, and I'm very grateful towards them.
The ability to be able to adapt anywhere, and is one thing. The way I kind of feel about stuff like that is I'm so used to just bouncing around and being able to sleep and do what I need to do anywhere.
Yeah.
That I don't look at like I don't look at these places as it's not home to me.
Yeah, no.
It's really like there's shit here. Yeah, I put it here, but it's all just shit to me, and this isn't like a home to me.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I feel like you're also like the same like me. Like, if you had the chance just to pack up and leave, like, you probably would.
Yeah. If I wasn't so rooted here now for certain reasons, then I don't give a fuck, honestly. If I have a place to sleep, then I really don't care.
Exactly. A place for you and your dog, at least, you know. Like,
right.
That's how I am.
I'm not even. It sounds like a really weird thing to say, but I'm really not, honestly, like, hugely even comfortable in half the places that I sleep.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'm just kind of existing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Home for me is not. It's not a place. It's probably the people.
Yeah, that's what it has become for me too.
So I feel you on that, and it's just. Yeah. People make fun of me because I sleep at work whenever I have the opportunity, and I'm like,
You're like, I don't care.
I just get to sleep in where I can. I don't know if I'm going to do it again soon, so.
I have a hard time at staying at other people's places and things like that, staying the night.
I do too, which is fucking weird.
Like, even when I came over here and crashed that one night.
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow, like, I barely slept. I barely sleep as is.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I like being home. Not like home, but like in an area that I'm like super comfortable with and that I know a lot. And it's just this something that has like grown to me. So
no, hearing it come out in words actually kind of helps me understand a little bit more of the habits that I've developed since I've had to be alone. Since I've had to be alone, I've had to develop my own routines and habits and my own space, you know.
Yeah.
And this is the first time in probably fucking forever that I've actually like been alone, and it was strange in the beginning. It was fucking really weird, but now I find myself getting way overly defensive if people want to. If stuff gets moved around in a weird way.
Yeah.
If people want to use the stuff in like the kitchen because I like to cook.
Mm-hmm.
I just get like I'm fucking petty about my shit now.
Well, it's because that's something like that you built yourself.
Yeah, I take pride in like all the little shit that's here, and I hate it.
Exactly.
Because it's not home. It's just shit that I've procured and I've put in places that I know where everything is.
Yeah.
But I get it. I understand. And
I struggle to this day because it's just like I don't have the money to go get on my own.
Yeah.
And I've always been told growing up, like, oh, you're probably just gonna be better on your own. You'll just be better on your own.
Yeah.
You'll just be better on your own. And
God,
I'm just like,
I fucking heard that so many.
And I like think about it, and it's just like,
you're like, how?
How
do you want me to do that?
Because I personally can't afford it by myself, and it's rough.
You're growing up with the economy being so fucked up. Like statistically, it's almost impossible for people to be living on their own now.
Yeah.
So the fact that anybody would even fathom throwing that idea at you and blaming you for it is asinine. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that definitely is a whole nother conversation.
It's a whole nother idea.
So hold on, I gotta answer this.
That's okay. I was actually gonna say, if you wanna close us out with a good thought, a good note.
I just kind of feel like whatever somebody's going through, like even the little things are things that like progressively get bigger. Like there's ways around it. There's ways to like go through it. There really is.
Yeah. When you say that, the thought that kind of comes to my mind is something I always tell myself is like, regardless of how tipsy shit gets sometimes, I just tell myself the world's not going to stop for my bullshit.
Exactly.
And the sun's going to come up tomorrow. There's ways you just deal with shit.
Yeah.
You know, you just deal with shit as it comes. You don't fucking panic. You just.
I also got really quick one thing that I was told by a very wise lady. She told me, she goes, you know all your problems? I said, yeah. She goes, you know how they're all here today? I said, yeah. She goes, you know how you're constantly stressed about them? I said, yeah. She goes, why don't you take a day and relax? Don't think about those problems. Don't be around those problems. Put them all aside.
Mm-hmm.
At least once a week. Or if you go into a certain room, that's where all your problems disappear. She goes, because guess what? The next day when you wake up, you go out of that room or things like that, the next day, they're all still going to be there. And you can solve them the next day.
Yep.
So I kind of trying to live by that one.
That kind of resonates a little bit with the last guest. We ended off with something similar, which was like, you know, just sometimes it's necessary just to hit the pause button, or sleep on it, on your issues, or just, you know, take a step back and kind of free your mind for just a minute. And, you know, the clarity's there.
Yeah.
Just sometimes you have to figure it out your own way.
Exactly.
So I agree with you. That's a good way to be.
Yeah.
Don't panic.
No.
Just take a breath. Fucking figure it out.
Just breathe.
Just breathe. So, well, you've got more story to tell, and I've got more questions, so I'll see you again soon.
Okay.
Just like I say every time, like, follow, subscribe, check it out where you can. I post motivational shit and I post promotional shit, so check it out on Spotify and Facebook, and don't forget to click that button. Bye.
Bye.